Wait.
Howdy, howdy. You guys hear me okay? Hello? Hmm. Can either of you hear me? You can, Gary?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Just want to make sure I'm good. It's Josh. I love the fact that the three of you are all sitting next to each other.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. We have to disconnect. Oh, two of us. It's you. What's going on? I want him to sit over here. I can go to the cabin. I don't have the same screens as you. Oh.
Hey, Gil, is there any way to update this to the August TRC board meeting just for posterity and YouTube?
Hello.
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 Hey guys.
Hey, Craig.
Okay, good.
Hello.
Let me just quickly see. Charlie, I just sent you a message affirming that I'll take care of the
Perfect.
in all business. I just want to make sure I get that language that I sent you.
$19. That's probably about average, actually.
Yeah,
For two of them?
yeah, that's this Coke's expensive to begin with, though, too.
Billy, you're on talking loud.
That's because I want you to hear my voice.
Okay.
So
Because you miss
who's
us.
who's all on the call? I mean, I sent a couple emails. I sent a response to your nudity thing, Craig.
I think I'm good. Gail, I just wanted to check in with you on the two motions related to the board endorsing changes to the bylaws.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two resolutions.
Did you want those attached?
Well, do you have them? That's the first question I have.
Okay.
Did I?
I think you sent them in the email. That's why I asked you if you wanted me to.
Oh, those are no, those are
Oh.
related to the rules committee stuff.
I don't
No.
think I have those.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, let me do this then. Okay. Um,
Because I went through everything that was sent to me and either put it in a Word document and attached it or
well, yeah, that I think, yeah, no worries. We'll
Mhm.
fix this in a second. Just a moment. It's quite easy. We just want to make sure we get the wording in front of the directors tonight. I can take that and put that in the chat, the two motions. Hang on 1 second. Make sure I got the right one because Charlie just checked on a goof up. Okay, that's it. So second. Okay. The chat. Okay, there's the chat.
Is everybody joined?
And then
Has anybody heard from Lawrence to know whether or not he's planning on joining us?
I haven't heard one way or another.
Because he's the only one we're missing right now.
Yeah.
Okay, because I just locked the meeting. If he's gonna, I can send him a message. Do you want me to send him a message?
Sure.
So just if you can take a look, folks, on the chat section of our Zoom call. This is in relation to the bylaw changes inside the camper's guide, and this is just to say that the board of directors endorses the proposed wording, but it's actually the membership at the AGM that actually votes on it to make the bylaw change. Bylaws can only be changed by members, and and that vote requires 2/3 of the people present at that meeting. So the idea behind it is traditionally, and it's the secretary that actually proposes the changes to the membership. And anybody can yeah, that's the main point. And the idea behind it is, of course, the membership wants to know that the board is endorsing this particular amendment, because quite often the members aren't that well informed on the nuances of the board's governance, and so they want some degree of confidence that that the board is behind this, and we've done our homework, and we have, because Charlie has sought out legal counsel and got the thumbs up on it. And right now he's reading it over carefully to make sure I haven't botched the wording on it. And if you remember, the two subject areas at issue on these two motions is giving the board the flexibility to restructure and reassign any of the committees, its duties or members, and by a simple majority. And the second is that we have capacity to give the members advanced notice beyond 30 days. In other words, as far ahead as we want, up to I think the March meeting. So basically what I'm saying here is at the March meeting, we can say, here are the proposed board meeting dates for the rest of the season. And anything over and above that just requires, if we're going to change that, we have to apply the minimum 10, maximum 30-day notice, individual notice for that particular rescheduled meeting.
Oh, okay. You want to hold the rest of this until we get to that under old business? Perfect.
Yeah, because you left it in old business.
Yep, sure did. Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 7:03. This is the regularly scheduled August board meeting for Triangle Recreation Camp. I am the president, Charlie Hill. I have taken roll. We have quorum, but we are missing a couple members. Simon Andrews was excused, and then we are missing Lawrence. So the secretary has sent out the agenda. Has everybody had the opportunity to look over tonight's agenda?
Yep.
If so, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Gary. All those in favor? Or any discussion, I guess, but yeah, all in favor. No. Okay. Motion carries. The July 2026 board meeting minutes. Has everybody had the opportunity to read the minutes from our last board meeting?
Yep. The opportunity was there.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the July 2026 board meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Craig,
Second.
seconded by Millie. Discussion of it all. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries. All right, we'll move on to officer reports. I'll start with the president's report. I have no resignations or appointments to report. The executive committee has taken no action to report. The strategic planning committee will be meeting in November. The external affairs committee, there's nothing new to report. And then the nominations committee. So the nomination committee has reported that nominations for the 2027 board of directors have closed. There are 8 nominees for the 7 open positions. The nominees are Josh Nye, Charlie Hill, Jeff Young, Josh Hurd, Jeff Stiles, Derek Stiles, Thomas Schessler, and Matthew Schaefer. Ballots will be going out right around Labor Day weekend. The results will be announced at the AGM. So finally, from the president's office, I would like to thank Stuart Daniels and the Undefined organization for 2 amazing events at camp. Both of these events were very well run and extremely successful. So a big thank you to Stuart and his whole crew. So, all righty, moving right along. Vice President of Operations, Millie.
Hi, all. I have a lot in my report, and the report has been sent out and will be part of the minutes. So I'm going to move through this fairly quickly. At the end, if there's any questions, we can address those, but I just want to keep the meeting moving quickly. To start with, I've created a TRC operations mission about how operations will manage the campground, and basically it says that in support of Triangle Recreation's camp mission as a member-based nonprofit, TRC Operations coordinates a volunteer-powered work necessary to keep the campground safe, welcoming, well-maintained, and ready to serve our members and guests. Operations accomplishes this by supporting our volunteers, coordinating essential campground services, maintaining operational readiness, and helping ensure a consistent and positive camping experience. Part of that also includes that when we're interacting with our campers, our first goal is to be positive. If it's a critical issue that includes threat to life or property, then that might not be the case. But in 98% of the situations, we can always have positive, constructive educational experiences with our campers. There's more in it on that, but what I really want to encourage is when I know that sometimes we get tired and we're helping people and it's hard, but we got to remember that we are a hospitality organization, and we need to remember that negative experiences impact TRC negatively because that feedback goes around a lot faster than the positive. Post hut update. We have revised the camper email that goes out, and it's really been effective. Campers are arriving better informed, check-ins have been more efficient, late night arrivals have been minimal, and volunteers are spending less time resolving preventable communication issues. The staffing at the host hut was very successful over the last few weeks, including the August party and this pup weekend. We had about 121 Friday arrivals during the canine period, and the parking and host hut were all handled excellently. Volunteer recognition. So the host hut has some people they would like to recognize for both host hut and parking. Special recognition goes to Dale, Chasen, and Aaron of the Red Light District, who contribute substantial volunteer time. Additional seasonal members volunteered, including Danny, Josh, Larry Yaki, and Craig. Regular members Daniel Howe and Rob Aldape also deserve recognition for hauling wood chips to Site 11 to help create improved camping sites. The host hut store is well performing, and we're selling a lot. The best sellers are ice, firewood, and bug spray. And then host hut power and access. The host hut battery has depleted a few times, which has impacted the Wi-Fi. We are in the process of adding a Wi-Fi battery monitor to the host hut so that it will notify us in advance when the battery gets below 50%, so we can charge it in advance. We are building Gary for VB of Development is building a storage shed, and it's going to have the roof made so that it can support solar panels. So the additional solar panels will help tremendously in keeping that battery up to charged. Parking committee has done an excellent job. They're working really hard. We're going to be adding, Gary will give an update, but we're going to have some additional areas that we'll have for parking for the Labor Day weekend, which will be hopefully that will be very beneficial to us. Lower campground, many huge thanks to Mr. Steve Deering. He's been our lower campground chair, I think, for 5 years now. But he's done an amazing job. He got the sanctuary upgrades completed. The sanctuary is looking beautiful. Sites 1 through 10 now each have a cooking table and 2 vinyl picnic tables. Site 11 has been reopened, and they added a fence along the top there so that it's safer. And post-season trail improvements are still being developed, but we'll have that done before the end of the season. If you do see Steve, please give him a huge amount of thanks for all of his service over the years. He has decided to dedicate more of his time to Site 500, and so he'll be stepping down at the end of the season as a lower campground chair. So we are actively looking for a lower campground chair, because we would like that person to help with the closing of the season and start working with Steve. And Steve is also offered to mentor through the 2027 season. So if you're interested, please let me know. We have Mr. Mike Drake has come up with a plan for the post-season tree work to complete taking down the trees that we have identified as dangerous. We do have 3 sites that will be impacted. So when the tree work is being done, those sites will be off limits. The Red Light District, Craig site, and Bottoms Up. It's going to be about another $10,000. I had not looked yet at our budget, but I will be looking at that and then going to the executive if we're going to need more money on that. Communications and IT. So the network has been working a lot better. It's just been really great. The only times that we've really had issues, we've had 2 issues. Number 1, power. Consistent power, because we've had issues with the generator and the power going out, and then like batteries not going down. So we're going to be monitoring the batteries better. And we've expanded the Wi-Fi down into the lower campground, so it reaches all of the fire pits now. So we have Wi-Fi in the entire lower campground, which we've gotten amazing feedback about. We did have one issue that over the August party weekend where we were losing the network connectivity to the host had a whole bunch. We identified it as a bridge issue. Our network consultant and Damon, the network communications chair, worked to resolve that issue. And since then, the network has been consistent and reliable. And they reported that this weekend it worked consistently well without any issues. Security and safety, bears have been spotted in the campground. And so we're working to really communicate our need to have food put away and stored appropriately. We have whistles available again. There haven't been, it's not been like in the past, but we have seen the bears, so everybody needs to be aware of that. One of the things that we're going to be developing over the off season is an emergency planning system, because we have, something could happen. We could have a fire, we could have flooding, we could have an earthquake. And so each one of these would require a different kind of emergency plan and the ability to quickly operate on those to make sure that our campers are safe. So we're going to be working on that over this winter season. If you have experience in that area, in these areas, please feel free to contact me, because, the more information is the better. And then post-season, this is the last thing on my list. To help with the security over off-season, we're going to be continuing what we started last year, which is, encouraging our regular members to be on site more often in the upper campground. And so we're going to be working on a plan to have the Site 500 available for scheduling. So people can just say, hey, I want to go up this weekend. They can look and see if Site 500 is available. We might also have the cabin available, but it'll probably be to more limited members. We will have networking and security monitors in each of those locations. So people will be able to monitor the Wi-Fi cameras while they were on site. And some of the things that we're also talking about for that, so that if people come on site, that they're going to have, we're not going to provide food, but we will provide wood for the Site 500 and propane and a heat for the cabin, so that we make sure that if people are coming up to the campground, they'll be able to at least have heat and be comfortable. And that's about it from operations. Like I said, there's a lot more in the report. It will be included in the minutes. If anybody has any questions, please let me know.
Stuart?
Is that going to be limited, Millie, to just people using the cabinet 500, or can the semi-permanents who go up in the off season use their own sites as well?
So, whatever we can do to encourage presence, we're going to do.
Okay, no worries. Just checking for confirmation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Millie? All right.
Millie, just to let you know, you have just over $10,000 in your budget for trees.
Perfect.
Sweet.
All right. Thank you very much, Millie. Moving right along, Vice President of Development, Mr. Gary Greenwald.
Hello, everybody. My report for development, the review of August party for the lower campground. There were no issues with tents in the NGPA area, so that's good news. Site 500, the sink upgrades is done. We're still working on a few little leaks on the drain and some issues with the faucet. But other than that, it's pretty much done. We're also looking for to purchase a full-size refrigerator to store the food so that we don't have to be doing that in ice and ice chests and stuff. Power grid upgrades. We have contractors that have come out to review our power grid. The preliminary recommendations by all the contractors is replace the main distribution box in the generator connex with a more robust and permanent system mounted on the wall. Redistribute more evenly the power over multiple runs to be determined. Start replacing the spider boxes with a more weatherproof system like powered pedestals. This will be a multiple phase implementation process over probably 2 years. The contractors in the process, excuse me, of submitting their estimates. I've got a couple. The power committee is reviewing the information and we'll be presenting our findings to the board in the next few weeks. Now, I recognize we're having major issues with the current power grid, and I ask everybody's patience as we work through this. We're doing our best to keep the current system working, but it has its challenges. So please be patient, and we'll get through this. And we hope to be able to start the upgrades next year. Side note, extension cords plugged into the spider boxes must be marked with the seasonal site names so we know who's connected. I know there's been some issues where plugs have been unplugged and batteries weren't charged for some sites. So please, if you're connected up, make sure it's marked somehow. We have tags provided, and we're looking at getting some more of those. Upper 40 development. The selected logging. Permits have been filled out and sent to the logging company for review, and they're in the process of submitting it to the Department of Natural Resources. Permit process takes about 18 to 30 days. Final date for the work is still to be determined. The goal is to complete the work this year so we can start using the area around the cabin next year in a limited capacity until it's rezoned and we're able to do a full development of the area around the cabin. As Millie mentioned, additional parking areas in and around the quarry have been enlarged a bit. Gravel's been spread. We have selected other areas to expand for parking, and we're hoping to have that work done before the next party. Rezoning. We are starting the process of rezoning the upper 40 to forestry recreation, which is the same as the lower 40. This will allow us to fully develop the area. And we'll be using the services of wetland services to rezone, to do the rezoning process. These are the people who actually helped us do the original rezone of the lower 40 area, so they're very familiar with what we have. The rezone probably is a 1 to 2 year process. Cost to be determined. As soon as I've got that all together, I'll be presenting that to the board. Potable water automation. The automated system for the potable water tanks has been installed and has completed 3 start-stop cycles successfully, and it's now in full use. The only thing we need to do is monitor the propane, make sure the propane tanks are full. Emergency repair to the potable water line to Trail 6. We're having contractors look at options to repair the cable system that holds up the potable water pipe that is suspended over the wash, and that goes down to Trail 6. We waiting for estimates, and as soon as I get that information, I'll be presenting the different options to the board. Automating the fire suppression tank. Wi-Fi has been extended up to the fire suppression tank, which will allow us to install a remote filling and monitor system so that we can do the filling of the suppression remotely through the Wi-Fi. It'll help us to keep track of that probably a lot better. Extending fire suppression to 500 in the lower RV area. We'll be working on that process. We're hoping to have that completed by the end of the season. Excuse me. Privacy slats on the fence by the lower RV lot. We'll be installing the privacy slats on the fence sometime in the next month. I'm just waiting for a schedule from the fence company. Lower campground, as Millie mentioned, construction on the storage shed, fire suppression equipment storage, and the lower campground parking area is about 75% completed. And we should have that all done by the Labor Day party. We will need a little work party to finish the roof, to put the plywood up there. Can't do that by myself. We're in the process of repairing the rickshaw carts with outdoor plywood, and we are installing permanent metal NGPA signs along the trails. We're just waiting for the signs to come in. Update on the bridge. John Laufenberg from Wetland Services. He worked with us with the original original work on the campground, so he's very familiar. We've hired his company. He's submitted an estimate of $18,200 to complete the permits, and we've accepted it, and he's in the process of getting that going. Side note, that's about $4,000 savings from the previous vendor. And we're working with Jesse Jarrell, who also has done previous work for the campground, so he's very familiar with us. He's doing the geotechnical work on the abutments, and we are in the process of hiring a civil engineer to do the design work on the bridge, and then also working with the contractor to do the actual installation of the abutments in the bridge itself. We do have some members who have offered services to be able to help us with that work. The hope is to have the bridge done by opening of next season. We'll see if we can make that happen. Hopefully that can be done. The fence at the main entrance, we're hoping to reinstall that fence that was destroyed. And this is the one that was by the old trailer rental area. And the ops conics and the tool shed, we have locked both of those up in an effort to reduce the disappearance of equipment. And all tools will be checked out. A list of individuals who have the combo has been sent out to the ops chat. And that's about it for my report. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Gary. So you mentioned that you were talking to the fence company about installing the slats on the fence, the privacy slats.
Yeah.
Didn't we discuss doing that ourselves, ordering the
Well,
slats, doing the work
yeah.
ourselves?
Okay, good question. He is giving us pricing on two options. One just providing the material to us, and the other one is the material and installation. So we could take a look at that and see which way we want to go.
Okay, because I know that product's available on Amazon as well, right?
It's available on Amazon too, and I looked at that. I'm getting pricing on that as well. But I'm also going to get some pricing from the fence guy and just do some comparative pricing.
Sure.
And then we can make a decision whether we want to do it ourselves or just have the fence company do it. So I'll have that information and be presenting it to the board soon.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anything else?
Gary,
Yep.
the sooner we can get that information, because we'll be organizing some work parties for end of season closing stuff.
Oh,
And so
okay.
let's try to get that answer next two
I should
weeks or
have it in
so.
the next couple of sorry.
Perfect.
I should have that information in the next couple of days.
But I'll help you organize a work party if we decide to do it ourselves.
Okay, great. Excellent. I just wanted to give us the option of, having somebody else do it. I know we're very busy with other projects, but we can take a look and see what we want to do.
Anything else for Gary? All right. Thank you very much, Gary.
Thank you.
Moving right along, our Vice President of Marketing, Mike Thompson.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to start out and try to get through this pretty quick. We're going to talk about what happened the last party weekend at White Sands Dark Desires. We sold online 327 party passes. We sold 17 gate passes for a total of 344 passes and a total event gross revenue of $23,370. For attendance that weekend and revenue from camping, we had a total of 322 on-site campers. 83 of them were regular members. Total camping fees that we collected were $9,548. And the combined gross weekend revenue was $31,918. And it was a very good weekend. I thought it went really well. We started out with a meet and greet at Lumberjackers, and we had DJ Ruck spinning tunes that night. And from what I heard from everybody, had a great time. And then the next morning, they slipped over to Cascadia for Mumu's Mimosas and Mary's. And that flowed directly past that to Steve at Site 500 for lunch with his team. And then Saturday night at Trader Dick's, we hosted the White Towel Party with DJ Breezy. And we had a really good turnout, and everything that I heard from that, everybody had a really good time. And then we sent them to Southern Exposure to get their post-party mac and cheese. And then Southern Exposure sent them to House of Hubris for after party. And it sounded like everybody had a really good time. Moving on to the following weekend, we supported Canine Campout. They brought 220 folks on the grounds. 35 of them were regular members. campy fees collected other than what they pay us was an additional roughly $3,000 on top of the 5 or so that we get. And that's a ballpark I'm figuring. I don't know what the exact number was. Josh was trying to let me know, but we couldn't get it in time for this report. So we extended logistical support to Canine Camp out through their Saturday night main party. The event went well, and everybody I talked to at the event had a great time. And all the feedback that I heard from everybody, at least over our end of it, was positive. Upcoming events, we have Friends and Family Weekend coming up August 21st through 23rd. We have put up some infographics on Facebook, and there'll be one up on Blue Sky of the events. Just briefly, we have Wig Out Meet and Greet at Doghouse on Friday, Moo-Moos and Mimosas at Cascadia on Saturday, Drag Bingo at the main party site on Saturday, and then the potluck at 500 on Saturday. And then Saturday evening, we have cocktails at the Gazebo Forum. And then that leads us 2 weeks away from that will be our last party of the season, September 4th through the 7th. The highlights from that this year is we have the Flintstones Meet and Greet at Doghouse, the main party at the party site with DJ Clover. We'll have after hours at Traders, and then House of Hubris is doing their after hours dawn walk. And then on Sunday, we're going to have the Jurassic Park drag show and Queen of the Mountain pageant. And then after that will be the tea dance with DJ Puploki. And last, I'd like to thank some folks for these last couple of weekends. I want to give a heartfelt thank you to all the host sites whose hospitality and effort made this weekend such an incredible success. Lumberjackers for hosting Friday's opening meet and greet, Cascadia for kicking off Saturdays with Moo-Moos, Mimosas, and Marys, Steve and his team at Site 500 for always serving up delicious food, Trader Dick's for hosting the main white towel party, Sudden Exposure for feeding the post-party crowd, and House of Hubris for taking us home at the after party. I really appreciate all you. And a huge thanks to my marketing team and to the operations team as well for all your dedicated work and volunteering and for making this party seamless and effortless. I really do appreciate you guys. And that is all I have right now. If anybody has any questions, I can answer those.
I don't have a question, but I have a statement, Mike. Over that August party, I had at least 4 different people who had been brand new members to TRC, and all of them described how magical the experience was. So well done.
Exactly what we want to hear. So, any questions?
Actually, I'm going to follow in Millie's footsteps in the congrats department. Unsolicited comments coming my way about the new website being absolutely fantastic, over the top, all of the above. And I didn't ask for those comments.
I appreciate that too.
Yeah.
I would like to take credit for the website, but I have to pass that on to Matt Riggs. That's all him. He was the one that jumped in head first and did that for us. So those need to be directed towards him.
Well, you know nothing about politics then. So
I'm horrible. So, and when there was one more thing, I'm sorry. We did open a Blue Sky, say about 3 weeks ago, and it is actually growing pretty quickly. I mean, we've gone from having hardly any members to about 110 now. So, and I keep getting more every day. So if you have a Blue Sky, come over and see us over there too.
Only thing that I heard, the entire white towel party was an amazing success. Is the sound at the party was a little bit over the top. It was a little too loud for quite a few people that came up to me.
Okay. That's fair.
But I would add the quality of that sound was exceptional.
And I would also add that we did supply earplugs for anybody who wanted them.
That's true. We did. We bought earplugs and took them into the party site, the last party and this party too. And we're going to continue to do that. So any more questions?
Thank you very much, Mike.
You are welcome.
All right, let's move on to our Vice President of Member Relations, Mr. Craig Maynard.
Good evening, folks. Just to refresh people's memories, member relations includes the Rules Committee, the Care Committee, and the Sergeant at Arms. On the member relations or on the Rules Committee, it's again a refresh. There's two subcommittees. One's investigations, one is adjudication. There is some staffing changes, and we have a new subcommittee chair on investigations. I have to give my thanks to Larry Yoki, who's done an absolute bang up job over the years in that, and he's remembered as being a calm, cool, collected individual for all of his hard work and enduring all of the changes that have been made as well. So my thanks goes to Larry. The new lead will be the new subcommittee chair for investigations will be Matthew Barnett, and I'm pleased to announce that we picked up two new investigators as well. Gia Simmons and Josh McFawn. So those are the no changes in the adjudication subcommittee. The number of cases we've had in the system. We have 11 cases in the system. 9 have been adjudicated or dealt with. And there are 2 that are outstanding right now. They're in the process of investigations. The next thing is that arising from all of those changes, as I mentioned, I have circulated a proposal to change or add new rules to the rule book or the camper's guide. I've sent that out in an email, and I'll just go with the subject headers at this point about what these new rules are meant to do. And they are, I'll call it off-the-shelf language that is used whenever you have a kind of a quasi-disciplinary committee, and it's meant to preserve the processes. So the first thing we do is we say what the structure and the separate functions are. They're laid out there. A guarantee of sort of a procedural fairness for all of the processes. The idea that we anonymize the matters is set out there. We set out that any prior violations, history, and consequences would be addressed at the adjudication level and not revealed to the investigators. There's the do's and don'ts around don't interfere maliciously, I'll put it that way, with the process. That's pretty standard language, and it would be deemed as a critical rule violation if for some reason somebody, say, wanted to talk to a witness to try to persuade them to change their information that they would give to an investigator. That would be a possible situation that could lend itself to a rule violation. For the first time ever, I'll catch up to you in a moment, Millie. We're putting in some timelines around appeals. This was sort of a matter that has besieged the board in the past, where people appeal decisions from the Rules Committee years later. And obviously that creates a difficulty. I'm proposing 30 days for the executive committee, and then any appeal from the executive committee goes to the board within 30 days. And the last part here is that the whole Rules Committee alleged violation process from beginning to end, there's currently 12 phases or 12 steps to it. That's a procedural matter, but we would like to highlight it and make it public. So we'd like to propose that it be put into the appendix of the camper's guide, not in the main body. And it's I've mistakenly said, okay, in there that, oh, okay, no, the changes where they need to be made over as time goes on and the system becomes more cases get through the system and we learn the need to make changes, that the changes on those procedures in Appendix A would be dealt with simply by the executive committee, probably on the advice of the member, the VP of Member Relations. And if anything substantive needs to be changed, that's of course a board of directors when you're dealing with rights and responsibilities and something like that. So I have put this together in a rather elaborate motion and sent it out by email. I trust that you folks have had a chance to look at it. The subject line on the email is wording of resolutions relating to the Rules Committee. So I move that the wording that I have sent in the email be the resolution that I'm moving forward. And Mr. President, I'd like to hear a seconder.
We have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Seconded by D.
I
Open
think
for
Millie had a-
discussion. Millie?
So, overall, I think it's great. It's something we've really, really, really needed. But I noticed how we had that we're going to review past violations, but there's nothing in there about contributions to the organization. Three of the TRC mission statements are about volunteering. We do so little to recognize volunteering. And I think if there's been some kind of minor infraction or even a major, not critical, if a critical incident, we shouldn't be looking at how they've contributed. But if it's a minor one, I think that should be looked at. And even if you go to court, they look at what you've done to help the community. And again, because it's 3 of our 4 mission statements, I think it also supports our mission statement by including that on the rules process.
If I can speak to that, Millie, that's an absolutely excellent point that you make. And I will make sure that that opportunity is there so just to give you context here, if for whatever reason the case comes out of investigations, it goes to adjudication then makes a finding that there was a violation at that point, then they turn their minds to the issue of what punitive or punishment should be doled out at that point. At that point, the subject of the investigation is invited to make a submission, and we can please include anything that you think would help support your reasons for either a no penalty or a reduced penalty or something to that effect.
Good.
Gail? You're muted, Gail.
I think we have to be careful with that to some point because it could be subjective. What you may consider minor, someone else might consider a major. So how would we determine what is minor, what is major? I'm sure assault or sexual battery.
That's already clearly defined in the camper's guide.
I'm not muted, Tom.
If I can speak to that. The first things first is that the investigation subcommittee does their what's called a prima facie test. Is this thing at all possible? Are we talking about the same subject matter? We'll get to your point, but there's a test there to see if the case being made is one that could even reasonably stand a chance of going forward. Then we move through the investigation where all the evidence is gathered, and we have another look at this thing saying, okay, now we've got the fullness of all the evidence, and we can say, no, this thing, we're still out in left field. There's just no hope at all. The investigations committee does not make a determination that there's a critical or a serious violation. They only present the facts and they alert to the possible sections of the camper's guide as to what may be a serious violation or not. It goes to adjudication, and this is where you have to put faith in the system. We have to say that this is they have to make first of all a finding as to whether there's a critical rule violation. And the reason for that is because if there's been one that's been made in the incident report, security has to know that, because there's likelihood there's been some kind of temporary ban from them being at camp as a result of the allegation, usually to protect the person who's the victim in those cases, is yes, there is a critical rule violation in play, and we're not and then they have to make a call on this. But the main point here is that the subject has an opportunity to say, no, this wasn't a critical rule violation, okay? And they make the argument, and they can say, assault means this under Washington state law. This means that under whatever. Joe Blow from 2 years ago did the same thing, and they said no violation at the time. Whatever they want to put forward, but ultimately you have to accept that the panel in the adjudication committee has to make a call on that. They're independent. They don't know the name of the accused. They don't know the name of the witnesses. They're only relying on the evidence that's been gathered, and it's their job to interpret the camper's guide, the goal and objectives of the camper's guide rules, and make that call and make that finding. And if the person doesn't like it, they go to and they don't like the penalty. If there is a penalty finding, it goes to the executive committee on appeal.
So I guess my question would be, so say there's two individuals, they both have the same violation. When it comes down to ruling or how it's going to be handled, wouldn't we run into some kind of issue if we said the person who did the same violation because they volunteered
No,
gets a lesser punishment?
that's not relevant.
Okay.
Their volunteer history is not relevant to the events.
Okay.
It's deliberately kept out. There's a stage at which, to Millie's point earlier, you can make that argument to say that I should get a lesser penalty, but the finding as to whether you did it or not, did something that's in contravention, is done by the adjudicators who have no knowledge about who you are, your history at the campground, any prior violations, any of that sort of thing.
Okay, so I guess it will have to be well defined on how that rolls out. That's my concern.
And that takes me to my next point here, that I will be putting the final Appendix A, which is a rather lengthy document, and I've asked I asked myself, Craig, do yourself a favor. Do you think the board wants to see all 12 steps with each purpose, each timeline, each so on, and pick over it tonight? And, I can just imagine Charlie say, we got 2 hours, kids, let's get it done. Okay. So
Yeah.
The purpose of this motion here is to set in place the policy issues that establish rights, responsibilities, and defining of roles. And that's the job of the board. The actual procedural steps, including the one that Millie makes, and obviously I will ensure that step is included, is for another day.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I just want to make a couple points. Number one, minor, major, and critical violations are already clearly defined in the camper's guide. I'm assuming that that's going to be part of your SOP, right, Craig? The second one is because volunteering is so important to TRC, obviously I agree that critical violations, it should not be considered. But because volunteering is so important, it's 3 of our 4 mission statements. Even if somebody gets a little bit minor, less, like if in the end, it benefits our organization more to recognize the volunteering than to say, well, what if somebody else gets a lower one than somebody else and all things are all the same? We're going to have that no matter what.
I think you're misunderstanding him, Millie.
Yeah.
Because he's talking about the adjudication process, whether you're found like you did something or not.
Right. I
Volunteer is
understand
not
that.
going to
I'm
make a
talking about
difference to
when
that.
they're-
It doesn't matter.
It's in the penalty phase that matters.
Yeah, it's in the
Right,
penalty
yeah.
phase. Yeah.
And in all fairness, Millie, I don't mean to make the argument for you, but actually, even in the most serious of cases, somebody shoots somebody at camp. Okay, well, look at your volunteer time. I don't know how much weight it's going to get.
Well,
Of that.
exactly.
But
Yeah,
it'll be there, and it's an opportunity for somebody to do something. Say something.
Thank you for bringing this forward.
Okay.
I have one question.
Yep.
I have one
Go.
question. This was the stuff that went to the attorney?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Do you have your hand up, Brandon? Nope. Okay. Anybody else? All right, then. We will call for the vote. All those in favor of Craig's motion, please raise your right hand.
I support my own motion.
Okay, unanimous. Motion carries.
Thank you. The other thing letting you know is that under new business, Rules Committee is and we had this discussion at the executive. We're looking at the nudity and sexual activity clauses. That's going to get punted down to new business. So just heads up on that. On to nicer subject matters, the care committee, I have circulated to the board an update on the activities related to the care committee and who and what's been involved. I won't do it publicly over the airwaves here, but that report is there for your consideration. You can get a sampling of what is, and again, that's in the email with the title heading, I think it's Care Committee Activity. I'm hoping I gave it to you guys.
Yes, Craig, you sent it.
Yes, I did. Good. I have reasonable confidence in myself. And that is it. And as far as the Sergeant at Arms routine, there hasn't been any request for clarifications.
Okay. Any questions for Craig? All right. Thank you very much, Craig.
thank you.
Let's move on to our treasurer, Josh Nye.
Hey guys, everything's going good over here in budget land. We're actually right now showing a profit of just about 30,000 instead of a loss of negative 81,000. So we're on the right trip, on the right track. That does not go without saying, as Gary and a bunch of people have mentioned, there's a lot of huge projects coming down the pipe. So we don't want to get too excited and above ourselves right now. Revenue is closing in. We have the membership is good. I think we're going to close the gap. I think we'll be at our goal roughly with the payouts for the group events. And then, as everyone can see, regular membership is actually, as Millie and people have been attesting to, a lot of limited members have been becoming regular members. So that is also great news. So we're about 120% of our budget, or $7,000 or $8,000 above for regular members, than what we projected to. So we should be ending very nicely as far as members. Like right now, we have roughly 340 regular members. which is also going to make that tougher for any of these bylaw changes and green book changes because we need them to all the AGM. So that's another thing we have to think about also. The more regular members we have, the more people we need to make these changes. So all of you out there listening, please come to the AGM. But anyone else, yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know. The budget was sent out, and if there's any line items that need to be addressed or changed, please reach out, and then we'll get those updated or changed.
Go ahead, Craig.
Just a question, Josh. Can you refresh my memory? And I think it would be beneficial to the members that when a person pays a limited overnight fee, is there a percentage of that that goes
last stay applies toward regular membership?
No, I got that part. Is any portion of a stay of that $22 per night go to the state as a form of tax?
No.
No, it does not. Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay. Thank you, Josh.
And also, just as a point of reference, Craig, just to follow up on that, if they become a regular member, it's backed out of overnight camping and put into regular membership also, so it wouldn't be reflected in overnight camping anyway.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Josh. Moving on to Gail Schessler, our secretary.
Yeah, so I still have 2 projects underway, reviewing the camper's guide. Right now, I turfed it to Millie. He's doing a review and will let me know when he's done playing in Australia. And then I'm also still investigating what it would cost us to switch servers for our internet and other programs that we use. Stay tuned. That's it.
All right. Thank you very much, Gail. All right, moving on to old business. I wanted to circle back to Stuart from our last meeting on the propane upgrades and see if there was any update on that.
Sorry about that. So the propane company's been taking a little bit of time to get back to me. So the issue that we have currently that I'm working through with the propane company and why there's been a delay is when it comes to installing a propane tank of 1,000 gallons with an electrical pump and the rest of it, the propane company and regulations require that the tank itself is hardwired directly to an electrical source. Connecting it to a commercial grade construction network is not appropriate, and will not make the permit requirement, will not make the requirements under law required to do the installation of that tank. So as it currently stands, they rejected us for the 1,000-gallon propane tank to have it installed with the pump. Now, while that sounds all doom and gloom, it is not. While speaking to the propane company, I did point out to them the fact that we're not the only place that's off-grid, and we're not the only place that uses propane off-grid. And there must be a way around this problem. So the propane company has reached out to their electrician to look into whether it would be appropriate for us to set up a, for lack of a better way of putting it, power shed, which would be basically getting a bunch of batteries, an inverter, and providing clean power to the pump. That meets all of the electrical regulations that would be required, and then that would be charged off our current power system. So I'm still waiting to hear back on that one. Once I get an answer on that, I will forward the relevant information straight through to the board. What that will probably mean is if they move forwards with that, which I'm hoping they will, there will be obviously an outlay cost on setting up that particular power setup for the propane tank. Now, failing that, we can always go back to the previous plan, which was getting another 250-gallon tank next to the one that's there and another wet line, which would allow us to fill 2 propane tanks at the same time. That would at least speed up the process, but I don't know if any of you have walked past the propane tanks lately, but wow, there is a lot of propane tanks there. I'm pretty sure there is a full day for one person just to stand there and try and fill propane tanks. as I'm sure Brandon can attest. And that's not really fair to any member to have to stand there and do that. Not to mention the fact that whenever you start filling propane at camp, it becomes a Lord of the Flies situation, to do a direct quote, where the propane seems to attract every fly in the campground to you as you're trying to fill those tanks. So, once I have more information, I'll let you know. And Millie, yes, 100%. We can definitely dig into that as well. But first, we need to get the okay from them to be able to actually go down that path. So I didn't want to bother the board or start trying to get quotes together for this power system until they would actually agree to do it.
Well, the other big benefit to that is that the network box is right there. So that would provide us over winter power for both the network box as well, so we can monitor the Wi-Fi cams.
100%. But I wouldn't want to tell the propane company that to muddy the waters, because they're just going to be focused on their side of things. So, but I agree. It could be definitely used for more than one thing, which would be fantastic. So I'm still pushing for it. And I'll continue to do so until I get answers for everyone, regardless of whether regardless of whether I get that answer by the end of next month or not, and I'm still on the board. And then obviously outside of that, once that particular problem is sorted, then of course they're willing to circle back around on getting those extra propane tanks, one up the top for fresh water, for our potable water, and then of course one at site 500 as well, which will allow us to save money at 500 for propane usage, and probably a little bit of money too for water as well, and help with that automation as well for the water system without it running out of propane. But I think that is the only updates I have for that right now. Does anyone have any questions?
Awesome. Thank you, Stuart.
Mhm.
All right. Next on new business. Excuse
Point of
me.
order.
Go ahead.
Gary had his hand up. He did want to get a question in.
Oh, sorry, Gary.
Excuse me, I just thought of something. We are in the process of getting a postal service to the campground.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to mention that.
Yep.
New announcements.
Okay. Very good. All right. So next under old business is the bylaws amendments that Craig was referring to. So Craig, can I turn that over to you to read off the amendment?
So as I mentioned earlier before the meeting, but just to refresh, the bylaws can only be changed by members at a general meeting. We have an annual general meeting planned for September, and we're likely to pick a date that's not within the minimum time that's necessary to give notice of that meeting. At the meeting, we need a quorum, and we also need to make sure that whenever you do a bylaws change, that 2/3 of the vote be there. Quite often, members attending such general meetings are not subject matter experts on the nuances of the bylaws or the governance patterns of TRC. So when we say we want to amend something, it quite often they don't know what to do, but they look for guidance from the board. And what I am proposing in this motion is that the board of directors approve and endorse the following proposed amendment to the TRC bylaws and directed to be placed before the membership for consideration at the upcoming general meeting. That's the wording that we've all talked about. And that is, it explicitly states that the board shall have the authority to dissolve or restructure any such committees or reassign any such committees, its duties or membership among the vice presidents at its discretion by a simple majority vote of the board. The purpose, again, we've talked about this from the practical side, is it provides flexibility to the board to organize and assign committees among vice presidents based on organizational needs. And we witnessed that at the beginning of the year when VPMR had two committees that were in the policy section of the Campers Guide. That it belongs to the Vice President of Operations, and we were flying in the face of that. So this gives us the board the authority to, notwithstanding what may be written in there, the ability to make an adjustment based on operational needs. And then the last paragraph is a formality that the appropriate officers are authorized to include the proposed amendment in the notice and materials at the AGM, and that's Gail we're talking about. That's motion number 1. Again, the same thing applies to motion number 2 about why we're doing this. And the actual wording will be that the board shall notify, I'll start again. The board shall notify the membership of the board meeting schedule for the entire season no later than March the 1st. Any change to the schedule must be communicated to the membership no more than 30 days and no less than 10 days prior to the rescheduled meeting date. Again, this allows two things to occur. One, we let people plan their future, okay? It adds stability for planning purposes. And the second is it gives a little bit of flexibility that if something unexpected occurs, we can still give notice and adjust where necessary. And that last paragraph is effectively the repeat of this prior motion's last paragraph, which is it's Gail that's going to be the authorized person to put this note in the notice and put it in the materials for the AGM. So I'm proposing motion number 1 at this time.
Okay, do I have a seconder for motion number 1?
A second.
Seconded by Gail. Discussion? All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, motion carries.
At this time, I am now moving motion number 2.
Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Mike. Discussion?
What is motion 2?
Motion 2 is
schedule.
regarding the
Schedule
scheduled
dates.
meeting.
Announce at the beginning of the year the schedule of meeting dates for the board of directors without having to give notice every month.
Oh,
But
okay.
if we change that, we give the notice.
Okay, any further discussion?
Just one thing, we may want to post that like maybe on the website so people can reference to it.
Mhm.
Of course.
Call the question.
All right, all those in favor? Okay, motion carries unanimously. All right, moving on to new business. So nudity. Back to you, Craig.
Okay. Why me? You don't want to see me naked. Scare away all the small animals. Okay. Okay, my joke. What I'm proposing, this also was discussed at the executive committee level, is currently we have language in the Campers Guide, Section 2, Part D, Item 4 of the Campers Guide that discusses the issue of prohibiting nudity or sexual acts or in specific locations that we've talked about that's laid out there. And I am proposing that be canceled, the wording be struck. And the reason why we're doing this is that, first of all, there is state legislation that talks about state and local laws about the issue around nudity and so on. That's number one. Number two, it's no secret that the campground beach area or the beach areas is a favorite spot for nude sunbathing. And so it's perhaps one of the most violated rules of all times. And so and it's never enforced, and we don't no point in having a rule on the books if it's never going to be enforced. The issue about body part, I'll go this way. Body parts being exposed in areas that generally the public can see. The rules around Washington state law have changed over the years. Nudity per se is not prohibited under Washington state law. However, nudity for the purposes of offending people and so on, and language similar to that is. We believe that TRC is in fact imposing a higher duty or a higher standard on our campers than what's laid out in Washington state law. I will say that it's my understanding that when this rule was first put in place, it's in the very, very early days of TRC at this location. And the environment at the time, one, the rules around nudity were different back then. We're talking about around 2000. Two, the campground had a kind of an implicit policy that anonymity about the campground and in its location. We did not want the general public to know its location and where we were and who we were. Obviously, that has changed. We advertise. We stick little signs out on the middle of the road. This is Triangle Recreation Camp, private campground. Okay, LGBTQ plus, but clearly those things have changed. And generally society as a whole has evolved around the issue of around nudity. What we can say is around the issue of sexual activity that is regulated under state law, but we don't need to deal with. We don't need to have a specific rule around sexual activity. That's a matter for the authorities to deal with if they should be inclined to think about that. And the key point here, as I make in the motion, is that we still have consent rules that are not being changed. So I think at that point we have a superfluous rule that goes not where we want it to go. It's not being enforced. And we have safeguards to protect the core issues around consent, which is perhaps the most important. And the last one I think is, I don't think there's anybody at the campground that is going to get offended by seeing somebody's genitalia. Could be wrong, but I don't think it's that big of an issue. So with that, I move that motion.
Okay. Do I have a seconder?
I second.
Seconded by Stuart. Open for discussion.
I support this 90%, but I think the only place we should think about is Mountain Loop Highway. And because we've worked really hard to have good reputation with our neighbors, to be good neighbors, and that could be quickly eroded, especially if, and we know how some of our campers are, they're purposely crossing the street so that they're flashing. I hate to think that, but it even the opportunity that might happen, I think, could affect us. And so I actually already sent an email suggesting that we have something specific about the crossing Mountain Loop Highway and that they would be aware of any vehicles coming, and they would, and that if they were flagrantly violating that it could be an incident.
Yep. I think Millie's point is well taken, and I think the points of crossing at TRC, we could easily put a sign up that says state law says this, okay, and cover yourself up accordingly. I think is a way of a remedy to that. But the point of us making a rule around nudity that reminds people of what are we doing? Reminding them of what the state law says. We can do that on our own. Do we want to create an additional standard above state law or local ordinances? That's the point I suggest we don't do that. We can remind people of what is there as far as there are laws around this, but I see your point.
I mean, I disagree because it's only the Mountain Loop Highway. I'm not talking about parking lots. I'm not talking about a beach. That when people are crossing the Mountain Loop Highway, they either cover themselves or they wait until there is no visible traffic approaching. And with that, I do have to go. But I do feel pretty strongly about that.
I think Millie also, I think you heard it could be a distraction. You know, you have a lot of looky-loos and you see someone naked or half naked walking down the street, people are going to tend to look, and that could be a distraction. That could be an accident. I'm not arguing against it. I'm just saying that's part of Millie's argument that on the highway, crossing the road, it could be a distraction.
I want to quickly throw something in here just in relation to member feedback to this exact problem. When it comes to crossing the road, all feedback that I've received during the events that I run, as you guys know, are sex positive events, no one I have worked with or any of the members that I've worked with who've come to these events have expressed any concern at having to cover up to cross the road. Concerns that I have heard have only been on campground property where it has been a concern of people being forced to cover up when they don't want to. So I think even if we did add something in that said that you should cover up to cross the road, I feel that you would not get any pushback on that. And that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, D.
I feel like it has been well known that yes, crossing the road is a closed section. Adding signs that is a reminder at any entry exit point. So when people are crossing back and forth on either side of the road, they have that additional reminder. So it's not a I didn't know, but yeah, I mean, within the campground itself, I'm not concerned about that.
No.
I mean, perhaps maybe we consider treating it like the smoking, where it's like within 10 to 20 feet of any public access view, we have a restriction zone. So that way people aren't going to be right up against the fence line, presenting themselves, creating a distraction. Not that it's ever happened, and I don't expect it to happen, but as a precautionary.
Okay, anyone else? Gary.
Yeah, I think we need to put something in there about out of respect, cover up when you go across the road. And signage, yes, placed at, entrance points. I don't think we could say, oh, it's okay to cross the road when you're nude if no cars are coming. I don't know that that's going to work. I think something to the effect of just saying out of respect, please cover when you cross the Mountain Loop Highway. One thing we don't want to do is get complaints that then trigger the ranger or whoever to come and, do an inspection that then might create other problems. So I think I don't know how you do that, but I think there needs to be something that just says out of respect, cover when you cross the roads.
Mike.
Well,
I'd like to offer a friendly amendment.
Okay.
I'd like to offer the friendly amendment that everything that he has in there stays, except for where it deals with the public road that crosses our property and that you need to be closed when you cross the road. All right. That's my friendly amendment. And my support to that is this, is that there is no way in the world that any of us are going to police whether or not people are crossing the road without their clothes on or off. It is a distraction to drivers. It's a common courtesy to our neighbors. And I think that the rest of it flies because it's on our property. But I think where we interface with a road, we're just being decent neighbors by saying, hey, just cover up. I mean, not everybody wants to see everybody else's junk running around crossing the road.
Agree.
So,
Okay. Do I have a second for Mike's friendly amendment?
Second.
Okay. Well, I got like 6 seconds. Okay. Great. Fantastic. All right. So a vote on Mike's friendly amendment. Is there any discussion about Mike's friendly amendment first off?
I think this can be dealt with administratively, as opposed to a rule, but, in other words, the very sentiment that Mike makes about, being naked crossing the road can be a distraction, is something that can be stated, and as a courtesy to our neighbors, we do this, but to actually make it a rule is a different question.
Okay, Brandon.
To the point of people saying that it should be a rule that you have to be covered to cross the highway, it's state law. You don't have to. I could dance naked down the middle of the highway and it would be perfectly legal. And if somebody called and tried to do an investigation on it, it would go absolutely fucking nowhere. So having a sign that says we encourage you to, cover up while you cross the highway as a courtesy, I'm for that, but it should not be a rule in any way, shape, or form because the state doesn't make it a rule, so it shouldn't be.
If I can, Brandon, I'll just add to it. I had a message come in from saying that under state law, and they provide the RCW quote on it, but it's largely about intent, and obscene, and knowing that it's going to cause an affront or an alarm. I recognize this is all interpretive material, because every situation is going to be different. But in any event, to that point, there is some language in the state law around that. That's it.
Okay. Any further discussion on Mike's friendly amendment? So, and Mike, just to clarify, your friendly amendment would create a new rule, correct?
yeah, that would be the case, I think here. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, would be more than welcome to back up, and just say that we put the signs up and change my friendly amendment if I can now. Sorry. Because I mean, I'm the same thought of them. I don't want to make any more rules than we need to here. I mean, we already have enough damn rules. I mean, it's already hard enough to keep up with everything, so I don't want to make any more, but I also don't want to create us more problems, and I think that's a fine balance. I mean,
Okay.
I think that the potential for those things to happen are there. So, I mean, those are the thoughts I'm having, and that's just looking at it from my side on security is that I know that we could have issues. We've had people threaten us before. It's happened to us in the past. I mean, we've put people on the fence line because we've had problems before, and those are the things I'm thinking about. So it's not necessarily because I want members to get in trouble. It's because I want us to stay safe.
Okay.
Right.
And are you withdrawing your friendly amendment?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and withdraw it.
Okay. All right. So then the motion on the table is to remove the nudity rule from the Green Book. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Just one thing I would suggest is that our bylaws say that, sorry, not our bylaws, our rules say that you have to, when you're at camp, you have to comply with federal, state, and local laws. And state law says under RCW 9A 88.010, what that issue is around that. And to Mike's point, I think that, the signage does the trick. Just remind them about that, okay? And if we get somebody who gets stupid out on the highway, okay, and decides they want to put on a circus show, buck naked, okay, with all the problems that that's going to cause, we've got something to fall back on because we do have a rule around that, and we can easily put the sign up as a reminder
Okay.
in an extreme case.
Any further discussion? All right, I'll call for the vote then. All those in favor, please raise your hand.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay. Moving along, we need to set a date for the annual general meeting. Generally, that has occurred 2 weeks after Labor Day weekend, which would put the date for the annual general meeting at September 19th. And this would include the September board meeting and the special board meeting after for the new board.
And the AGM.
Yes. Yeah. That's what, yeah, the annual general meeting, yes. Any discussion about the date?
I'll move it for formality's sake.
Okay, do I have a second?
Do we have a time though?
Good question. What time do
Because August 19th is nice, but the time is kind of important too, so it's different than a standard board meeting.
Yes, so generally we have the board meeting first, the September board meeting, then the annual general meeting, and then the board meeting after the annual general meeting.
Didn't
So
we meet at like noon last year or something like that?
I thought we started with the board meeting at 10, the AGM at noon, and then like we took a 30-minute break and then the new board met. So
10 a.m. then?
10 a.m. for the board meeting, 12 p.m. for the AGM. Does that sound okay?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Gail. All right, all those in favor? Okay, motion carries. The AGM is set for September 19th with the AGM starting at noon. Okay, does any member of the board that has not had the opportunity to speak wish to bring anything to the floor?
Just about the fire ban.
Matthew, please.
You're muted, Matt.
Thank you. I'm coming on behalf of the seasonal site committee, and it's probably new business, but we noticed a discrepancy in the guidebook as compared to the seasonal site and the wait list application requirements. The website requires, and the application lists as a requirement, a red asterisk, that you have to be a regular or a seasonal member in good standing with all invoices paid for at least the last 365 days. The camper's guide does not have that 365-day requirement listed. And previous years and this year, we have been going based off of the application. So there have been people that have been denied waitlist entry because they have not met the requirement. We also have a few seasonal members that are regular members that are still waiting for their year mark to come. The request is to amend the guidebook so that the language matches what's on the application and on the website, to add the 365-day requirement to be added to the member list or the wait list.
Okay, do you have a motion there?
Yes, we have a motion to amend the camper's guide to add the 365-day requirement to the rule that's already in place for being added to a member site or the seasonal wait list.
Okay, do I have a second for the motion? Seconded by Gary. Discussion. All right, those in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Any other new business, Brandon?
No, just a reminder that the fire ban is still ongoing until further notice.
Okay, perfect. Any other new business at all?
New meeting date?
We just
I
set
just
that.
did that.
Oh,
It's the AGM.
oh yeah, no, never mind. I'm
Okay, on that note, I will accept the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All right, I'm not even gonna ask who's in favor of that one. All right, gang, thank you
Good
all very much.
night. Thank you.
And
Bye,
we'll
everybody.
do all I can.
Thank you.